This month on Mustang Magazine, Miss Holmes plays her ukulele. We catch up with author and permanent sub Mr. Gauze, and we also see what's good outside the wood. These stories and more on the 69th edition of Mustang Magazine.
Hello, and welcome to the November edition of Mustang Magazine. I'm Brianna LeBlanc.
And I'm Brendan Bartuca. Recently, some NHS students helped paint the Nord Hospital maternity room.
Sophia Sartori and Nicole Catalano bring us a story.
Nord High art students recently worked with Nord Hospital on a special project involving the hospital's maternity room.
They told us it was a maternity room, so we wanted it to be really about children and babies, so we thought Disney characters would be the best.
When I heard that it was a maternity waiting room, I thought a willow tree, because willow tree represents life, and so that's why I did that.
Over 7 long months, the girls faced some difficulties.
Just getting certain shapes right, we had a lot of trouble with the woman in the face, just trying to get the shadows right.
Making the whole mural cohesive and making it come all together.
Stress overall.
However, the experience did come with some benefits.
And we all really got close during it, and it was just, we spent a lot of time together, entire Saturdays, and it was just a really fun experience.
We put a lot of effort and time into the mural, and so being able to finish it and saying we made that is really cool.
Chloe and Jaylene would also like to thank Mary Marinucci and Tara Bellato for their contributions to the mural. Reporting for Mustang Media, I'm Sophia Sartori.
Thanks, girls.
NHS has added some new teaching staff over the summer.
Reporters Jillian Obrius and Heather Gagliard introduce us to new English teacher, Mr. Michael Manuli.
Mr. Manuli is a new English teacher at Norwood High School.
Gotten to know so many people over the last few weeks. A lot of new faces, a lot of new names, but everybody's been really friendly, so it's kind of nice.
Manuli is fairly new to teaching, but some might not know that he was a student athlete at Clark University. Manuli says that baseball was a huge part of his life.
It's completely natural to me, all the movements and all of the watching and celebrating. It's just part of who I am.
But then Manuli threw out his elbow in his junior year, causing an end to his career.
Domino of events that followed me blowing out my elbow kind of led me to a good situation. I'm happy where I am. Ending my playing career in college helped me focus on academics and settle on a kind of a career path there.
Even though baseball was his first love, he says the injury made him realize that teaching was his destiny.
After I tore my elbow that day, in that moment, I'm like, okay, I know exactly what happened. This is gonna suck. This is gonna be a really tough decision to make.
Manuli has been teaching for 4 years, but he didn't always know he'd be a teacher.
Didn't really think about being a teacher till I got to college and started helping out in schools and being with students and figuring out that's kind of what I wanted to do. The coolest thing I could do, the most important thing I could do with all that knowledge that I just have learned and gathered would be to go into teaching.
As Manuli wraps up Term 1 at NHS, we wish him luck for the rest of the year. Reporting from Mustang Magazine, I'm Heather Gagliard.
Thanks, girls, and welcome to the Nord family, Mr. Manuli.
There really are some great educators at NHS, including the teacher featured in this next story.
Last month, we sent some sophomore reporters over to the Latin classroom to visit with foreign language teacher Mariah Holmes. We heard she's using her musical talents to connect with students, so here's a listen now.
So tempore, can y'all say that with me please? Tempore.
My name is Mrs. Holmes. I am a Latin teacher. So I teach the foreign language of Latin. I try to conduct a classroom that is challenging and enriching, and leave some room for students to be themselves while also getting work done. You know, teachers are always saying to kids, it's important sometimes to just get your head out of your work and give your brain a break. I started playing the ukulele as a very selfish thing, which was just to give me, 30 seconds or a minute or two of music in my life. I would play it for just a few minutes when I needed to kind of refocus myself or try to get myself out of a bad mood. And I think that music in general can really have a grounding influence on students. It can help people think more clearly and logically. Like literally it can improve your mood. So I think sometimes I hope that in addition to distracting students from immediately calling for me, it's also, giving them some nice background music to sort of chill them out and reduce some stress. When I assign activities to sort of set a boundary, like I'm gonna play this song and I'm gonna let kids figure out what they're supposed to be doing. And then when I'm done playing the song, I'm gonna walk around the room. And most of the time, kids don't need anything from me when I do that because they figured it out for themselves. But if I start walking around the room immediately, I'm going to be bombarded with questions. Because Lindsay was gone. Did you take work and put her? It's nice to be able to share with them something that, I really feel good about, which is music. For the night.
Thanks for letting us in your classroom, Miss Holmes. And special shout out to Marin Giambanco, Hannah Islam, and Samantha Reen for putting that story together. Next up, we actually have another teacher story, but this one is on a guy who's been around for more than 15 years.
Regular substitute teacher George Goss is well known and liked by the students at NHS. But few know he's an accomplished author and historian. Recently, I caught up with Mr. Goss about a project close to his heart. George Goss has been a fixture at NHS for nearly 15 years.
I started 2005 after I was laid off from being a locksmith. I've been subbing here in several other districts.
Mr. Goss is a regular substitute for Norwood Public Schools. He says he truly enjoys his time with the students.
I like learning from all the students. That's probably the best thing. But I enjoy teaching. I think education is important.
And while he's mostly known around school for the coverage he provides absent teachers, it's not well known that Goss is a passionate writer with a few finished novels. He once wrote a historical piece about the American Indian Removal Act of 1830.
It's about the treaty the Cherokees had with the U.S. and they were exiled from their country.
But Goss says his most recent project, a book about his wife Doris, holds a very special place in his heart.
So Donna and I put the book together. Doris had written her part probably 3 years earlier when she was starting to write about her life. So I wrote the part while she was in a nursing home.
Doris Goss passed away in June. Goss says that the loss of his wife has been very tough, but writing the book and telling her story has helped him with the grieving process.
To talk about it, to put the last year and a half in some kind of perspective over 40 years. over 40 years of a good life, a short time. It was more difficult.
Goss says he thought it was important to finish his wife's story because she had such a full life working and being a mother.
She worked from the time she was 14 in the bakeries and then worked in the bank, and she worked as a activities director at the nursing home.
Now that the celebration has passed and Goss is starting to move on with his life, he says he will never stop loving Doris, and he's proud to have honored her with a book to keep her memory living on.
I had to have the opportunity to celebrate her life and her work. I think she'd like it very much. She, wrote her part and then she kind of went on. That's kind of as much as she had to say, I guess. I think she'd like it.
We think she'd like it too, Mr. Goss. Thank you for sharing her story. Reporting for Mustang Magazine, I'm Brianna LeBlanc.
This is a picture of Doris and I a few years back.
We'll be right back after these messages.
Look out for new episodes of the Stampede podcast, hosted by Jake Mannering, Lars Boothroyd, and Nick Sororsha, on SoundCloud at Stampede.
Don't be that person. Use your Chromebook case. It keeps it safe.
Welcome back. Now we take you outside of NHS to introduce you to some community members who are feeding the hungry.
Junior staff reporters Grace Milster and Emily Mace brings us a story from the United Church of Norwood.
The United Church of Norwood has been contributing to the community by opening their doors and giving free meals to people less fortunate. Marie Schumacher is a volunteer.
I think we have about 35 to 40 people on a regular basis. We're getting more of an interest, and I think it has to do with the sign that the pastor has put out on the front lawn.
The pastor, Kevin Smith, says the experience of volunteering has been life-changing.
It's really very special opportunity to touch another person's life.
This program isn't only about giving food, it's also about making connections and relationships.
To share a word with them, to share a smile, to share a meal. We serve food and that's important and people want to eat, but it's really more about just human contact.
Not only that, we try to provide companionship.
Schumacher and Smith say the Wednesday program is rewarding, but it can still be challenging.
Some people are in the kitchen and they enjoy serving. Other people like to hang out in the dining room with the folks, with the guests, with the visitors, and they like to sit down and talk. Some people clean and
Not only have they created relationships with the people they are feeding, but the volunteers have all grown together to create one big happy family.
Such a wonderful group of people, and I don't live in Norwood, but because of the open door, when I come to Norwood, I know more people on the street than I do in my own hometown.
If you're ever looking for an opportunity to volunteer in our community or to put a smile on someone's face, Open Door Meals is always looking for anyone to help better our community with this program. Reporting from Mustang Magazine, I'm Grace Milster.
Thanks, girls. If you're looking to volunteer, contact the United Church of Norwood.
Now it's time for the second edition of What's Good Outside the Wood, a segment where we take you on a road trip to see what's worth exploring outside of Norwood.
What's up, Mustangs, and welcome back to the second episode of What's Good Outside the Wood, a series where you and your friends can learn all the fun places to go outside of Norwood. At about 9:30 in the morning, Brendan, Nick, and I hit the road and voyaged to Boston's Castle Island. Upon arrival, we viewed the plains up ahead and walked many paths, taking in the views there were to offer. The 22-acre peninsula is full of historic landmarks, for it holds a fort of independence that was used as an armory during several significant wars. Nowadays, the harbor walk that encloses the beach makes it a great place to go on a run, walk your dog, or even just enjoy time walking around with family and friends. When you finish walking out to the sea, take your time to enjoy yourself at the park and observe the statues that stand nearby. And of course, the visit wouldn't be complete without going to Sullivan's Restaurant to fill our stomachs. Sully's, which lies at the base of the fort, opened in 1951 and has many different food options. So, that's all for this episode of What's Good Outside the Wood. This has been our trip to Castle Island.
Special thanks to Jake McCarthy and Nick Spadorsha for helping me put that segment together. Follow us on social media to see where we're headed next.
For now, let's head back to NHS to meet up with an athletic trainer who's providing a valuable service for Mustang athletes. Junior staff reporter Jillian Obrees brings us a profile.
Kevin Consoles is the weight room trainer at NHS. He says he enjoys helping athletes with their strength and conditioning.
It's fun coming in the weight room and working out, especially when the kids are really into it. It doesn't even feel like work. Just seeing the kids improve athletically and just become better at their sport through, whether it's getting stronger on their squat or increasing their bench press. It's fun to see the overall athletic development of them.
Junior two-sport athlete Jason Dennehy uses the weight room after school to stay in shape between football and baseball seasons. He says Consoles helps maximize their potential.
He had a plan for every single kid, and he just knew. He find workouts for everyone, and that's why just Kevin's the best.
Sophomore 3-sport athlete Sean Quinn says Consolas helps him stay motivated for workouts.
Well, Kevin knows what he's talking about, so whenever Kevin tells us to do, I always try to put it into my own workout. He pushes us to do our very best every single time we step foot in that weight room.
Each day after school, athletes can take advantage of Consolas' specifically designed workouts.
So we get in the weight room, I just see a gorgeous display of workouts on the board. Kevin, every day, A sets, he has his A's, his B's, and then if you go through the A's and the B's, you're onto the C's. He has every single workout we need, and Kevin's just like, I'd run through a brick wall for that guy because he gets me in shape.
And Consoles says keeping athletes in shape takes a lot of planning and professional growth.
It really is a full-time job. Even when I go home, I'm reading books, looking up kind of the latest research, always continually trying to improve myself as a coach and just learn as much as I can.
So if you'd like to get in shape or improve your strength and conditioning, come check out Kevin Consolas after school in the weight room.
Reporting for Mustang Magazine, I'm Jillian Obrey.
Thanks, Jillian. And a special shout out to sophomores Jonathan Demeray, George Tolman, and Jake Wilkinson for shooting the interviews and visuals for that story.
We're almost done with this month's show, but before we go, Stephen Ellinger wants to get in one last word. This month, he's asking, is college really worth it?
Here he is now with the commentary. And remember, it's just his opinion.
Seniors here at NHS are in the midst of applying to college. As we all know, it's a lot of hard work spanning months upon months. It's this looming feeling of angst and anticipation. And for what? What's the point? Kids get so wrapped up in applying to college, they don't ask themselves why they're applying in the first place. Why is it that you want to do an optional 4 more years of school that for most people will result in tens of thousands of dollars of debt that will take decades to repay? That's basically what you're signing up for. We automatically apply because that's what we're told through K through 12. We're told that this is the path we are working towards. But why is that? Well, first off, median household income for millennials with a college degree is practically twice as large as those without a degree. Unless you're planning on going into a trade, you essentially need a college degree. However, do you need to get it right away? Kids jump straight from high school into college, going from the bubble of youth dependent on your parents immediately into a life of independence. You no longer have your parents making sure you go to class or getting your work done. No more teachers being hyper-attentive to all your needs. It's all on you. For a lot of kids right out of high school, they aren't ready for that. I would argue a lot of students need a gap year. Students need some time on their own to work, live more independently, and most importantly, do some self-reflection and maybe discover your passion and the reason why you want to go to college in the first place.
Well, that's all we have for this November 2019 edition of Mustang Magazine. I'm Brianna LeBlanc.
And I'm Brennan Bartuca. We leave you now with some highlights from this year's Thanksgiving football game against rival Dedham High School. Thanks for watching.
And have a great start to your holiday season, Mustangs.
Oh!